7. Not said, past tense, but what the Spirit says, present tense. It's not what He has said when He said it, but what He is saying now. It works. The Bible doesn't work. You're saying God doesn't work. The book is alive. That is to emphasize that is made in the original language. The order of words is this. Here is the order of words in this. Living, for the Word of God is. It is put in the emphatic position. It, as the author of Hebrews has taken a yellow highlighter and underscored the word living. That isn't just an ancient book, it is alive. How can we believe the Bible was written so long ago? Because God wrote it. And God is present. God is present then, He's present now, and always will be. And what He said 2,000 years ago, He makes it alive today. Martin Luther said, the Bible is alive. It speaks to me. It has feet. It runs after me. It has hands. It lays hold on me. And surely this book has grabbed you by the lapels. Surely this book has laid a bit upon your heart. When the pastor's preaching the Word of God, and I hope when our preachers are preaching today that God lays upon your heart what is being said because they are using the Word of God. John 6:33. I think we're up to you.
Okay.
John 6:33. Look at it. Have you found it? I want all of you to turn there. John 6:33. 63.
The Spirit gives life, the flesh counts for nothing. The words I have spoken to you are spirit, and they are life.
And you have that. You have that on your notes. You what's your
Kelly?
Kelly? Do you have that? Do you have John 6:63?
Yes.
Would you read it? Would you read it and see if it says the same thing? I don't believe him. What does it say?
The Spirit gives life, the flesh counts for nothing. The words I've spoken to you are spirit and your life.
Bill, maybe she's not telling the truth. What does it say?
It is the Spirit that quicketh. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
Now, let me. What would you say is stuff of the flesh? Who do you turn to, and what do you read that you believe gives you life and helps you to live life better? I'm having a miserable day. I'm having a melancholy day. Things are just going so wrong in my life. Everything's falling apart. I need to read something that's going to help me be a better person. Where do you go? I know Oprah. I got in trouble at Bigelow Church when I was preaching one day, and I said, Frank, I'm afraid that my wife likes Dr. Phil better than she likes you.
Oh boy.
Now,
Turn to the inspirational channel. Joel Osteen.
yes,
Positive thinking.
if you turn to somebody else that says something different than the Word of God, that's flesh, then you have more confidence in what they say than you believe the Word of God. You were telling me about going to a church that's full of heresy because the pastor has Q-tip preaching that tickles the ears of the people, and people are flocking.
People demand that.
People demand that. If I was a tickling preacher, and if I'd have got two preachers here that tickled your ears and advertised it that way, this place would be packed out. Who wants to hear the Word of God where the Bible is really used and Scriptures is really read and where nearly everybody in the classroom has a Bible before them? Well, some have electronic copies. Okay, I do too. Thirdly, it is what?
See,
No.
Active.
It's what?
Active.
It's active. I mean, it's powerful. It's active. It works the instant that you read it. Do we get the word quick? Energizes. The energize. Bunny. We get the word energetic. The Bible is full of energy. The book is never flat. Preachers are flat. The Bible is never flat. If we go to church and says all they do is preach the Bible and it's such a flat sermon, he's not preaching the Word. The flatness is within us. There has been many times that I've walked into the pulpit and I've been so tired, but this book never gets tired. And when I begin to preach, the energy of this book begins to surge through my soul. This book never takes a day off. This book stays active. It never takes a month off to rest. This book never needs to rest. The revelation of God as an active being, living, all-powerful, illuminating, executing, vengeful, discernible, and penetrating all things in our hearts. The revelation of God is active being. This book is never tired, never listens. It is listless. It is active. It never takes a day off. It never is on a sabbatical. It never needs to rest. It is active, and when you preach the book, it continues to work. Even after you go home and go to sleep, it still works. You'll have dreams about the sermon I hope that these men preached this week. I hope you can visualize the talk that he does. I still remember Winston's first series of sermons. Can anybody tell me his first, this is embarrassing, his first series of sermons that he preached when he came? It was on,
but I don't think anybody remembers.
that's terrible.
I'll give them a refresher when I get up there.
He preached on heaven. It's still penetrating my heart on heaven. I still visualize it in my mind. I even listened to when he preached. Last year he preached on, the year before, law and grace. He gave me the whole sermon outlines, law and grace. After you go home, it should still have an effect on you. When you go to sleep, you should dream about it. If God puts it in your heart. Fourthly, it is what? Sharp. It is sharp. It's not meant to tickle you, is it? It's sharper than any two-edged sword. It challenges and it empowers. It challenges and it empowers. It is the sharpest weapon in any arsenal in the world, except what the sword you have. Did you have a sword? Do you have a sword?
Nice.
Nice.
She wants a sword. She's never gotten one yet.
He was telling me, Mr. Haynes was telling me about a walker.
Oh yeah, that cane.
A cane. And he's walking along and somebody comes up against him. This guy takes his cane and pulls it out with the sword.
Yeah.
Take out the Word of God and use it as a sword. No surgeon's scalpel can compare with the cutting power. It is sharper than any two-edged sword. There is not a dull side in the Bible. It cuts both ways. There is not a flat book, a dull chapter, or a blunt verse, and Dorothy, that means Leviticus. Every verse in the entire Bible is razor sharp. It can cut and make a penetrating cut. Leviticus or Amos. We should and would and we don't go into the pulpit and being armed. We are armed with the Word of God.
Amen.
The word sword signifies a cutting sharpness as becoming a searching, a letting out. It means it's ready to kill. All which agree to this divine word, sharper than any sword with two mouths. The Hebrew style, the edge of the mouth, that which bites, tears, wounded. Revelation 1:16 and Revelation 2:12. The word of spiritual execution upon the soul is more sharp, and above every other sword there is none so piercing, so cutting the heart of killing of sin. And that's what the Word of God does. It's not my preaching. It's not the style of my preaching. It's not how fancy I get. It is the Word of God that cuts deep down in our soul. And God does that. It is the supernatural work of God to do His work while I'm reading the Bible. Sharper than any two-edged sword. The Word of God has an incisive, penetrating quality. They have the ability now to pinpoint a cancer. They can take an X-ray and pinpoint the very cancer in your body and not kill the surrounding area. The Word of God can pinpoint your cancer, your sin in your life, and spell it out so that God can correct it. It has a penetrating quality. It lays bare self-delusions and moral. For the comparison of the Word of God, it is a sword. Psalms 57, do I have that verse? Psalms 57:4. Is that in here somewhere? Is that in your notes? I don't know what I put in your notes. Psalms 57:4, Richard.
My soul was among lions, and I lie even among them that are set on fire, even the sons of men, whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword.
Read that again. Look at with me at 57:4. Look at it. Here's what the Bible is, Richard. Read it again.
My soul was among lions, and I lie even among them that are set on fire, even the sons of men, whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword.
Write down Psalms 59:7. Write down Psalm 64:3. And write down Ephesians 6:17. That's what the Bible is. You should never go to the pulpit unarmed. You shouldn't, and we don't go into the pulpit with being armed without the Word of God. Now let me give you what the Bible is. This is what the Bible does. What the Bible is. Is that next? What the Bible is. Is that next?
Yes, yeah,
Number one, it's what?
It
look,
pierces.
pierces
And that is in Hebrews 4:12. It pierces. The Bible is a sword that pierces. Verse 12. Piercing as far as the dividing of the soul and spirit, of both joints and marrow. This book is so razor sharp that it penetrates through the outward facade of men and women.